Coming up on Network Africa, Rwandans vote in general elections as President Paul Kagame seeks a fourth term in office. Police arrest Kenyan serial killer who confesses to killing 42 women since 2022. Plus, jihadist group Al-Shabaab claims responsibility for deadly car bombing in Mogadishu. Hello and welcome to the program today. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Layo Olarinde. Let's begin in Rwanda. The voters are electing a president and 53 members of the lower house of parliament in general elections today. About 9 million people are registered to vote, according to the electoral body, and at least 2 million are first-time voters. Well, the president of the country, Paul Kagame, is seeking to extend his 24-year rule in an election analysts say he will win by a landslide because of his dominance in every election since becoming president in the year 2000. Now, with over 90% of the vote, he won that 2000 election. In 2017, he also won with a staggering 99%. He faces the only two contenders who were authorized to run. One of them you see now on your screen, Frank Habineza, or other candidates were barred by the state-run Electoral Commission. Well, let's get more on this. The VOA's Mariama Diallo is in Kigali, the Rwandan capital. She's been monitoring the elections and she's joining us now on the program. Hello, Mariama. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I wish you could be right here in Kigali, where everything is happening right now.
Well, tell us, what is the update at this time? Have the polls closed? And, how was the conduct of the election across the country?
Well, people showed up as early as 7 a.m. When we got there today at one of the centers where President Kagame was voting. People were there as early as possible to, from what they told us, to exercise their civic responsibility for the country, meaning casting that vote. And as I think at that same center, we actually waited, about 3-4 hours for President Kagame to come and vote. Eventually it happened, but it was a long wait. But while people were waiting, they took advantage and voted. In fact, while we waited for President Kagame, I have to say his son came in and he had to wait in line like anybody else and, went through the whole exercise, voted, and then left.
Well, speaking of President Kagame, he is seeking a fourth term in office. Help us understand, the nature of Rwandan politics and elections that allows, for multiple terms for just one individual.
Well, Paul Kagame, as you know, is a huge part of what Rwandan history is. At least when you think about him during the genocide, when it happened in 1994, it is his army, it's RPF people who came in and ended that. So since then, he's served as vice president, he's served as Minister of Defense, and then, in fact, he told us, he had a presser the other day, and told us that he actually never wanted to be president. In 1994, he said he was asked to be president. He declined it. It's not until 2000 when he was asked again that he decided that, yes, let me give it a chance. And he's been able to stay in power in a way that he had 2 terms, he had 3 terms, and in 2015, I believe, the Constitution was changed. and he might actually be able to stay until 2034. But at the presser the other day, the questions were swirling. People were asking him, is he thinking about retirement? Is he thinking about grooming somebody or participating in grooming somebody who's going to replace him for the party? And he had, at first he said he never wanted to be president. Second, he said it is his party, actually, and the people who vote for him that keep asking him year after year after year to run. I think he even joked that they want to squeeze the last blood out of him. He said he's told his party it's time for them to find somebody else, but year after year they ask him. The other point he made was that he also said that why do people asking me, when am I going to leave? When am I going to leave? I mean, I am not the one. People who elected me are asking me to stay. So this is a quote. He says, I am a little bit confused, and that's not fair. So in one way, he says that it's his party who's asking him, another that he's ready to retire, but on the other hand, he's also saying that why do people keep asking him when he's gonna retire, when people who voted for him keep asking him to stay?
And, he has just two opposition candidates that are running alongside him. But analysts have said that he's set to win by a landslide, looking at, based on previous times, that he had won with over 90%. But Mariama, are there issues, Rwandans want to see a change in the country, even as they pick their next president?
I think the two candidates, I think they are very courageous in a way, in a sense. I'm sorry, this is just my phone. In a sense that, all the predictions are saying that Kagame is going to win the race, but they are staying in the race because both of them, they are not necessarily criticizing him. They think he's done a lot of good work, but they want to also have the opportunity to participate in moving this country forward. And they think that he has stayed for too long. You talk about the 2 million new voters this year, who they've only known Paul Kagame. So those are the issues, and they have their manifestos, and they've shown whether in many industries, whether it's agriculture, health, education. They've shown at least in their manifestos how they want to change those industries. Some of the voters, young voters that we interviewed, talked about the issues that I think every young African has. We've seen it recently in Kenya with the Gen Zs who talk about really high cost of living. Talk about asking their governments to tackle corruption. Although I think corruption, in a way, Rwanda is doing very well in that sense, according to analysts. But in many countries, those are the problems that the youth is asking about, including here in Rwanda. One person, and the other big one that I forget to talk about is jobs. And all of them, the young kids that I interviewed, some of them are very happy they've been able to find jobs, but other ones have told us there are no jobs, and they really want to see a leader that's gonna change that.
Indeed, Mariama. So, well, that would be all. But just before I let you go, how soon can we get the results?
Well, the Electoral Commission chairman, we were there yesterday, briefed us about, how long they're going to take to come up with these results. And surprisingly, I think they've told us that maybe around 9 p.m. today, a little bit later in this evening, they might be able to have preliminary results to announce. So as soon as we're done here, we're going to head right back to the National Electoral Commission and obviously keep an eye on it.
Thank you so much, Mariama Diallo in Kigali there, the VOA's Africa correspondent. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Let's move to Somalia now. Jihadist group Al-Shabaab has claimed responsibility for an attack in the capital, Mogadishu, that has killed 9 people. They were killed after a car bomb exploded outside a popular cafe packed with football fans. The bomb went off on Sunday night at 10:28 p.m. local time as patrons at a coffee shop were watching the Euro 2024 football final between Spain and England. Security operatives earlier said at least 5 people were killed and more than 20 injured, but later updated the death toll to 9. Well, Sunday's explosion also destroyed a number of cars and damaged several buildings. Al-Shabaab is part of the Al-Qaeda group. Reportedly, it said it was targeting a place where security and government workers meet at night. The area is close to Villa Somalia, and that's the official presidential residence. The jihadist group has carried out numerous bombings in the city and other parts of Somalia for over the last 17 years. Well, the security situation in the country is now making Somali women to join the male-dominated traffic police profession, even as the security drive in the country opens up more roles. Well, after recent Al-Shabaab attacks in Mogadishu, authorities have intensified operations by deploying more personnel and setting up checkpoints.
For the first time in years, women are among the new faces patrolling the streets of the Somali capital as traffic police officers, reflecting efforts to increase the number of women in public roles amid a security crackdown. Frequent insurgency attacks have prompted authorities to increase their operations by deploying more staff, setting up checkpoints and recruiting young women like 28-year-old Samira Abdullah to help control the city's traffic congestion.
The problems we face include narrow roads and traffic jams, and this forces us to work all day. But we were trained to open jammed streets. I am satisfied with my job because we work for our people. We, the Somali female traffic police, the job is our choice. We applied for the job.
The role was previously off limits for women in the conservative Muslim nation, where they traditionally worked only behind desks in administrative jobs. According to Traffic Police Commander Muse Mohammed, Abdullah's pioneering presence has inspired more Somali women to apply.
Since we employed women, we get applications from many women who also want to join the traffic police. The employed ladies showed the importance of women working in the streets and the beauty of the streets. They work well. They inspire more new women, and they give them the opportunity to join the traffic police. So now we have many women applying. We want to sort them and then train them. We shall select them in that way.
While Somalia remains a conservative society with patchy rule of law, Abdullah's presence is seen as a sign of gradual gains for women's rights and roles.
I encourage Somali women to become traffic police officers and work for their people. I tell the public, work with us, and we work for you. Correct your mistakes. Most of you are good, and we urge you to correct the mistakes you are making.
Her position in the public sphere brings Abdullah a sense of recognition from the community.
The new traffic police women are very good. They are better than their male counterparts. They check licenses and observe and implement law and order.
Abdullah says each day she steps onto the bustling streets of Mogadishu, her presence is a symbol of the evolving role of women in Somali society.
Welcome back to the program. Let's continue in Kenya. A rather gruesome story coming out of Nairobi. Police have arrested a man who they described as a serial killer, suspected to have been behind the murders of 9 women whose mutilated bodies were found in a disused quarry used as a rubbish dump. Police say 33-year-old Jomaisi Kalishia confessed to having killed 42 women since 2022, including his own wife. The suspect was arrested at a bar early on Monday morning as he was watching the Euro final. Now, there has been shock and outrage in Kenya since the first of the dismembered bodies were found on Friday at the Mukuru Quarry in the capital, Nairobi. The country's police watchdog previously announced that it was investigating whether there is police involvement in the murders. officials, being that the dump site is close to a police station, and this is coming amid allegations of widespread human rights abuses by officers during the recent anti-government protests.
That resembles the ones that one.
The suspect confessed to have lured, killed and disposed 42 female bodies at the dumping site, all murdered between 2022 and as recent as last day, 11th of July, 2024. Unfortunately, and this is very sad, the suspect alleged that the first victim was his wife. It is crystallizing that we are dealing with a serial killer, a psychopathic serial killer who has no respect for human life. A psychopathic serial killer who has no respect and dignity.
Well, let's get more on this story. Joining us now is Cyrus Ombati, Kenyan journalist in Nairobi. Hello, Cyrus. Thank you so much for your time. This is such a rather disturbing story, and you can understand the shock and anger that is said to be in the country at this time. Talk to us about how authorities were able to, arrest this person.
Thank you for having me the show. Actually, as you put it very clear, the anger and the shock in the country because of this murder incidents which have been unraveled by the police, because most of the victims all the victims are women. The police say that the last victim he killed was a woman who he had lured to his house, and they took his mobile phone, which he used to transact business where he was. So this mobile phone was actually linked, to trace to him. That's last night now when police were trying to triangulate where he is. The use of this mobile where he is. That's how they were able to get him in a bar where he was drinking after watching the last night match between England and Spain. And then from there, he was like, how do you be able to catch me up? So then he took them to his house. In his house, they found some of the materials he was using to kill these women and to dump them on the dumping site. So as you put it very clearly, it's a shocking incident for many people here.
Well, he has now confessed, according to the police chief there speaking, to killing 42 women since 2022, including his own wife. What consequences, what are the consequences he's likely to face, even if he's found guilty?
Well, in Kenya, we abolished death penalty. The best or the worst can be that jail is a life sentence, which be longer. The consequence is that if he's released, probably may be released by the public here because everyone is angry at him, even his own village. So is more safer in jail than being out here. So that's what it is now, because he has confessed to the killings and everyone is angry at him. So the best place he can be for now is in jail.
All right, Cyrus, this is coming amid allegations of widespread human rights abuses by the police, and we understand some police officers had to be transferred because this dump site is close to a police station. What is the update on that development?
Yeah, all the officers who were serving in that station were transferred yesterday. Today, they found one more body. And mind you, this dump site is so deep that because it was a quarry before, then it was abandoned. So it has been a dump site for long, and it was full of water. Because you don't know the depth of this mine, the pit itself. It's so deep in the sense that accessing it, you have to use a rope to get in there or a ladder. The police could not have known that this thing was happening because the man who was killing these women was taking the bodies there as trash. So it was difficult for anybody to doubt that it was a human body or human bodies being dumped there. To me, it was hard to transfer the officers as much as they are near that police station or the dumping site. But then it was the authorities meant to manage the investigations, and so that it can be sure that the investigations are fair and they can clean in a way as we walk forward.
Okay, and now for these bodies, that have been recovered, tell us, what more can you tell us about the victims? Have they been identified? And if not, how would they be identified and, informing the families? Because families that have people that are missing would be anxious.
It's only 2 of the 10 bodies have been identified, and the process of identifying the rest is ongoing. It may take longer because most of them are decomposed. We can't find fingerprints for them. For example, you can't see somebody's face. And now the police are appealing to anybody whose relative is missing to kind of volunteer so that they can give out DNA samples for analysis. And this now may take time to identify. It's harrowing. It's causing a lot of anxiety in many families. Coming at a time when many people are going missing. So, as you put very clearly, it's a very horrible situation that we are facing here because the bodies are badly mutilated, to be said little, because they were remembered to be able to fit in a sack, a 90 kg sack. So that shows you how the man who was behind the man that was trying to ensure that they fit in that sack by dismembering them.
All right then, Cyrus. Thank you so much, Cyrus Ombati, Kenyan journalist in Nairobi.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Well, the French consulate has celebrated, France National Day, also known as Bastille Day, which comes up every July 14. As the day fell on a Sunday this year, the celebrations took place a day earlier at the Lycée Louis Pasteur, a French school in Victoria Island, Lagos. The celebrations also come just weeks ahead of the 2024 Summer Olympics holding in Paris. Amidst the networking amongst guests from the diplomatic community, traditional leaders, government representatives, and members of the French-Nigeria business community in Lagos, Consul General Mr. Laurent Favier highlighted France's relationships with Nigeria, an example of which is the visit by 4 members of the government in 2024 already. He says Nigeria is France's first trading partner in sub-Saharan Africa, accounting for 60% of imports from West Africa. Partnerships have grown between the two nations to fashion, education, and technology.
We've launched a fashion and design program called the Lagos X Paris, which has supported 10 high-potential Nigerian brands this year through training, mentoring, and financial support. They will attend very soon fashion trade shows and Paris Design Week next September. Since the beginning of 2024, we have brought support to more than 60 audiovisual professionals through training, capacity building in animation, documentary, and video games. They will attend big international festivals in France too, very soon, and the new training sessions are about to start by the end of this year. This dynamism is also reflected in our trade relationship. Nigeria is France's first trading partner in sub-Saharan Africa. It counts.
And representing the Lagos State Governor at the event was the Secretary to the State Government, Mrs. Abimbola Saliu Hudeyin, to convey his good wishes.
Thank you. Nigeria remains France's leading trading partner in the sub-Saharan Africa, and with about 100 French companies located here in Nigeria, many of which are in Lagos. We are delighted to continue this valuable partnership as it holds immense potential for both our countries, particularly Lagos, offering exciting opportunities to deepen this connection for our mutual benefit.
Well, police officers serving with the UN mission in South Sudan are providing practical training to improve the community policing skills of their local counterparts. The hands-on training focuses on how to safely approach and detain suspects while respecting their rights, handcuffing, search and seizure of illegal items, investigative skills, and VIP protection. The training comes at a crucial time as the severe economic crisis is fueling crime rates and the world's newest nation faces its first post-independence elections.
They taught us some other things like how to protect civilians, it's like here, how to go and to get the suspects, to go easily, how to handle, how to take care of suspect also, if you are captured, how to carry it for a further investigation.
We want to share experience with them. We also want their experience to be shared with us. And again, we know they are preparing towards election, and we thought that this time would be the best for them to refresh on their police tactics and techniques.
Here the male are many, but female are not many. So at least they have to make gender balance. If the man is 10, female have to be 10 also.
We are not going to be here permanently, so that as the time we are leaving for them, we are handing over this thing, they should be able to handle their situation themselves. And also they should be able to also go out there and assist other people who are in need.
That's it on the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde.